War Robots has a big problem. And that problem is snipers. Snipers once were a fun and balanced way to play the game, allowing you to have your presence and impact on a battlefield without being in the front line and in danger. However, it has grown into something much worse, something dark. Snipers have started to become overpowered and oppressive. Because of the sniping role allowing you to play from so far back, it has started to allow for zero counterplay when fighting against an opponent with this playstyle. The problem becomes, how are you supposed to fight a player who has weapons that outrange you and kill you before you can even get into your own weapon range? With the release of 3 new oppressive and overpowered weapons, the Reaper, the new laser weapons, Wangji, Yoj, and Taija, and the Prisma. These 3 weapons have made playing War Robots unsatisfactory and boring. Weapon number 1, Reaper. I am sure many of you have noticed, especially my free-to-play viewers, the oppressive nature of these weapons. Let's start off with the worst offender of the sniper problem and probably the most overpowered sniper weapon at the time of recording, the Reaper. The Reaper is a heavy, kinetic sniper weapon with 1,100 meters range. It has 6 ammo shots and shoots them at an incredibly fast rate of fire, unloading its clip in only 1.25 seconds. That is ridiculously fast, so fast in fact that it leaves basically no counterplay. So by the time you start seeing your health bar go down, you are already dead or nearly dead. This is a problem, you say, but clearly it is balanced, so it must have a long reload. Well, no. It has a relatively short reload of only 7 seconds. Compare that to another sniper weapon like the Prisma, which has a 13-second reload. You start to realize just how fast that is for a sniper weapon. Well, you say, if it has a short reload and the longest range in the game, and one of the fastest fire rates, then it must have very low damage, and you are kinda right. A Mark III maxed Reaper only does 9,750 damage per shot. However, because it has 6 shots, it does 58,500 damage per burst. But that is just one weapon, and when you factor in that most players run this on a Crisis, which has 4 heavy weapons, you start to realize just how problematic and overpowered this is. So 4 weapons times 58,500 would be 234,000 burst damage, but that is not all. When you start to factor in all of the damage bonuses, it gets even worse. With boosters you get a 5% bonus. With a maxed nuclear amplifier with 95 stacks you get 76% more damage. Then you factor in pilot skills such as Master Gunsmith, Ferocious Guardian, and Adamant Gunsmith, you can easily get 20% more damage. And players who like to run the meta stuff will probably have the meta drones such as a Kestrel drone, which gives you 7% more damage. But wait, there's more. Crisis has an ability called Overpower, which grants it an additional 20% more damage, but if you add the pilot, Gentari Karite, you get an additional 15% more damage while you are using Overpower. All of this said, you get 143% extra damage, so multiply that times the 234,000 burst damage and you get 568,020 per burst. Meaning in 1.25 seconds you can kill an entire Ether Titan in the air. Wow, that is overpowered. You say, but at least you can use your abilities to protect you against it. Well, no. And that is where this gets ridiculous. Reaper mitigates all defense systems of any kind. You have a reflector on your Harpy, nope, Reaper doesn't care about that. Instantly dead. You have a last stand, nope, Reaper doesn't care about that either, instantly dead. You have a flying Seraph with a force field, nope, don't even bother to fly because you will just be shot out of the air. Talk about overpowered. Weapon number 2, the Prisma. The Prisma is a long-range energy weapon exclusively designed for sniping. It boasts one of the highest damage per second, DPS, capabilities in the game at maximum range. However, as the range decreases, its damage potential diminishes, making it less effective against close-quarters combatants. For example, at its max range of 1,100 meters it does 100% of its damage, but if you went to 880 meters it does only 89% of its damage, and so on, decreasing to only 40% of its damage at 25 meters away. Seems balanced, right? However, you are wrong. Because it does the most damage at the longest range, this encourages players to play incredibly far back. So far back, in fact, that no other weapon can hit them other than the same sniper weapons. This means that when you are crossing open spaces, players with Prisma will zap you from 1,000 plus meters away and you will have very little counterplay, other than using your abilities. A lot of players started to use this weapon, especially because of the 8.7 update where the majority of the tier 4 weapons, the gold ones, got buffed by 40% more damage. You will be surprised to hear that Prisma was included in that buff. 40% more damage is a huge buff, and even before that people were using it, but after that buff even more people were encouraged to use it. Prisma takes 7.2 seconds to unload its whole clip. However, with a long reload of 17 seconds you would think this weapon is balanced, but you would be wrong. At Mark III, it has a damage burst of 78,952, but most people run this on a Crisis as well, which is the best sniping robot, so multiply that by 4 because you have 4 heavy weapons, so 315,808 damage per burst. But since this is an old weapon, unlike Reaper, it already has a special edition stellar version that has a 5% buff, which most people run. So 331,598 damage instead. But you forgot to include the 143% extra damage bonuses you get from pilot skills, drones, modules, and abilities. So after all the damage bonuses, you end up doing 806,156 damage per burst, which is just staggering. That is such a big number. My Indra doesn't even have that much HP. This is what makes it overpowered, its sheer damage per burst. Even with its long reload, the burst damage is just too much and needs a nerf. I would like to note how Prisma just recently got a small nerf where its damage was reduced by 25%, which is a pretty big nerf. However, they buffed its ammo from 40 to 50, meaning that the only nerf it got was that it has a longer time to kill, which I like. But this still won't stop players from using Prisma because it is still overpowered. This is yet another example of an overpowered sniper weapon that needs a nerf. Sniper weapons in any game should never do more damage than brawling, close-range weapons, but it appears that this is the exact opposite in war robots. They really don't care about balancing and only care about people paying for their new and overpowered weapons. With little counterplay, this causes the dominance of sniper weapons, causing frustration in the player base and leading to a very boring playstyle of camping. This leads to very long games that are extremely boring to play, and even the snipers get little satisfaction out of it because they won't have anybody to shoot since they are all just hiding. Sniper metas are never a good thing, and war robots needs to do something fast. But we still haven't talked about the third and final group of weapons. The new laser weapons, Wangji, Yoj, and Taija. Wanj, Yoj, and Taija are heavy, medium, and light weapons, respectively. I'll just refer to them all as a whole because they are all very similar. Let's take Wangji as an example. It does 170,775 damage per burst. The burst would be until the weapon fully overheats, which takes 9 seconds. It doesn't have a reload and just has an overheating mechanic where it does less damage the more overheated it gets, decreasing all the way to only 25% of its original damage. This is quite a lot of damage for a single weapon and is the most out of the 3 sniper weapons, Prisma and Reaper. However, this is over quite a long time, 9 seconds, and is the reason it's so high. So multiply 170,775 damage times 4 weapons, which is 683,100 damage. With all the bonus damage from pilots, modules, special edition, drones, and abilities, 148% extra, it does a burst damage of 1,694,328 damage. That is pretty ridiculous and is definitely overpowered. However, this is over a 9-second period, but even then that is enough to melt through titans. I do admit that this 1.6 million number is pretty ridiculous, but according to official War Robots wiki stats, that is how much it would have done with all of the damage bonuses. Luckily, the weapons recently got nerfed pretty hard, where previously it overheated in 9 seconds. However, now it takes only 4 seconds to overheat. To compensate, they gave it a 10% damage bonus, but even then the YouTuber, A-Deer, calculated it to be a 22% to 32% damage decrease, which is pretty huge. Player feedback plays a vital role in shaping the future of war robots. Developers actively should evaluate game balance and listen to the community's input. They should strive to address concerns related to sniper dominance through regular updates, adjustments, and potentially introducing new mechanics or countermeasures to level the playing field. However, War Robots developers don't listen to their community. They only care about how much money they can milk from their player base and don't care about addressing the problems about overpowered sniper weapons. As you can see throughout the gameplay footage, the oppressive and overpowered nature of the sniper weapons, especially when playing on sniper maps like Springfield. The Crisis Reaper was Mark II level 12, and even with 1 Gauss, a balanced weapon, the 3 Reaper were just too overpowered and are what won them the game. Also, the amount of Prisma Behemoths and Prisma Erebus really showed just how prevalent they are in the meta. Throughout the entirety of both games, I barely had any fun and did not play any more games after that. It is incredibly frustrating and boring playing against players that instantly one-shot you, and there is 0 ways to counter them. The Reaper Crisis, as expected, ended up on the top of the leaderboard, doing over 4 million damage with just his 1 crisis. War Robots has a bad balancing system. People are leaving. It is already an old game that has been out for 9 years. I think every viewer knows that a game doesn't last forever. However, with good balancing and a supportive player base, you can greatly extend the lives of some games. War Robots doesn't have any of this, and with the way Pixonic is putting money over the health of the game, I don't see a way War Robots is going to last that much longer. War Robots has a big problem, and if they don't address it, their already small and dwindling player base will continue to be smaller until it is dead.